Welcome back to the Culture of Currency, where, of course, we have another Wall Street Journal report. What happened in silver? What happened in gold? And we just heard what happened in copper in my recent video. So let's go ahead and get to it. Reminder that this video is sponsored by APMEX, the American Precious Metals Exchange, and lucky for you, it is their 25th anniversary, meaning there are sales every single week that are way beyond their traditional sales. In fact, on the 31st, which was just a couple of days ago, the entire site, which is thousands of products, had any quantity pricing. So every single week, they're going to have completely new sales. So that being said, make sure you check them out because we know right now silver kind of took a little bit of a dip. Gold is moving as well, just not in the same direction. And copper was on sale. So that being said, you're going to find some sales and you're going to find something that fits your budget and fits your needs over at APMEX.com. Check them out. So as we know, this week was a bit of a crazy week when it came to the metals and market. We saw that the tariff on copper, for example, really shifted where copper was and maybe even the likelihood of copper in the future, as hopefully it leads to a bit more refining and mining in the United States so that we're no longer sufficient on other nations for critical products. That being said, time will tell, because permitting in the United States has taken a very long time to get issued on things like mines because of the injunctions happening within judges and within environmental groups and sometimes native people, depending on where these mines are. So that being said, we'll see. Not a big deal unless you really like copper, but we know that silver is the byproduct of copper mining, that is. So we shall see. Let's go ahead and get into these markets, shall we? What a crazy week. I have done my best trying to highlight this for you. Here we have the Dow Jones Industrial. Right off the top, you'll notice the roller coaster is going down for a little bit, and that is mostly because of market skepticism on things like job numbers that were not as strong as expected, and as well as having a bit of tariff talk, which always seems to unsettle some stomachs. So we're at 43,588. That's down 502 points, or 1.23%. So yeah, pretty strong decline there, but don't worry, we will see what the world did as well to see if it was just us or if everyone else kind of took a dip, and it just happens to be coinciding with things like the job numbers or tariffs. S&P 500, 6238, that's 101 points down, or 1.6%, sitting there. And the NASDAQ, which tends to be the most volatile of the three, sitting at 20,650 and 2.24% down. Pretty big drop on the last two trading days. So that is where we have everything there. But like I said, if it was just America, that would make sense if it was tariff talk and job numbers. But look over here. International stocks in the Americas. Everybody is down. And though it's not as dramatic, Canada got hit pretty hard though. Everybody seems to be down about where we were. Pretty bad across the board. What about Europe? Well, even worse. I highlighted basically all of them because, as you see, they're all pretty far down. We have the Eurozone at 2.54. We have the EMEA at 1.89. Belgium sitting at 1.53. Denmark 1.79. France 2.91. That is 3% just about. Germany got hit hard as well. Italy, negative 2.55. So as we see, a lot of people were hit. I don't see anybody right now in the positive as I look through. We also see South Korea got hit pretty hard as they're at almost 4%, the 3.88 right there. So pretty crazy overall there. When it comes to the markets of the world. And we know a lot of times as America goes, so does the world, but I'm not quite sure this had to do with American tariff talk or the job numbers just because it was so quick. It was just the last 2 days that it went down, and the job numbers just being posted on Friday, I believe. So let's go ahead and get into our metals to see what exactly happened this week. We know it wasn't pretty for silver. Silver sitting at 37.29. It has dropped $1, over $1 really. That's 3%. As we see on the 31st, really the 30th, we started to see the decline, and the 31st hit, and it just kind of stayed put down in that area. I know a lot of you went down and decided that was a dip, and you bought, which was probably a smart thing, because my guess is going to go back up a little bit, though it's probably going to be slow. However, I do wish it were the day where silver was at $18-ish again. Brings back old memories of being able to get 5-ish ounces for $100. What a awesome time. It was the Wild West, folks. It was the Wild West back then. All right, how about the U.S. dollar? So as you see, though the U.S. dollar basically ended flat, they still beat silver. Doesn't happen often, but here we are in the situation where the U.S. dollar is stronger than silver for this week. What about the Dow Jones S&P? Because we know they got hit too. Well, as you can see, very, very similar. We don't see the same movement on the 31st, and that's because the jobs numbers did react, or did, I guess, take place in market analysis, and when those were released on Friday, that's when we saw kind of the matching of where silver is, or at least closed on the 31st going to August 1st. But other than that, the markets were beating silver for the week. Very interesting. Gold is a different story. So as you can see, gold was flat through the 28th and 30th, and then had a pretty good dip there from the 30th midday to the 31st. And then all of a sudden, August comes around and gold says, you know what, I'm taking the elevator up this time, and takes a healthy chunk away from the minimal gains it would have got, and went up 0.85%. That's $28 in value. 3,378 is where it landed. So I'm not one to throw out predictions, anything like that, but what we know this week is that silver and copper losers, gold winners, market loser. So gold is the only one of the three that kind of stood in the positive zone. So if you go out and you buy some gold, no one here is going to judge you. If you go out and buy some silver, hey, it's on sale right now. No one here is going to judge you. Just do what you want to do and be intentional about that, and you should be in good shape. That being said, that's what we have for you today. Thank you, as always, for being with us here on a weekend. And as always, please remember to stay classy and current with the culture of currency.